Every year, some 80 young people under 35 die suddenly from a heart problem they never knew they had. Their untimely deaths leave their families and friends traumatised and bewildered that someone so young or fit could be so cruelly taken from them so quickly. Yet it's estimated that up to 10,000 people in Ireland could carry the genes for inherited heart disease without knowing it.
June the 19th, 1996 was a day that I'll never forget, and a day that changed our lives forever. That day our youngest son, Peter, had just finished his junior cert, and he was looking forward to the summer ahead. He went to bed about 10:30. We'd chatted for a while before that, and to me he was perfectly healthy. But about 3:30 I heard a moan, and I went to investigate and found that he'd been sick. And when I stood him up, he said he couldn't see me. So we took off quickly, very quickly, to the hospital. And the nurse in charge, the sister in charge of casualty, put him up on a trolley. And he said, "I have a terrible pain in my chest." So what I vividly remember is about 5 minutes later, a consultant coming into me and saying, "Your son is seriously ill." And within 10 minutes, she came again and she said, "He's critically ill." And within 15 minutes, she turned up again, the consultant, and said, "I'm sorry, we lost him." And they are words I'll never forget.
The sudden death of Peter Green inspired his parents Mary and Michael to form the charity CRY in 2002. CRY, Cardiac Risk in the Young, sets out to educate and inform young people and their families through media campaigns and public meetings, as well as providing much-needed counselling and support to families affected during this crucial time in their lives. CRY has raised the funds and has worked with clinicians to establish the Centre for Cardiac Risk in Younger Persons at the Adelaide and Meath Hospital at Tallaght in Dublin. The centre provides free assessment and treatment for families who've lost a loved one and who may have other family members who are at risk, and for young people who are experiencing worrying symptoms. The centre receives no government funding and is supported entirely by CRY.
They say the heart stopped, you know, I can't remember anything of it. What I've been told from friends around me is that I just collapsed. I finally came around about 3 to 4 days later after coming out of the coma. I looked around the unit, you know, and, you know, there's no one probably as young as me sitting in the ward, you know. So I was a little bit depressed, and in came two ladies from the CRY unit, which was Helen and Deirdre Ward. And they introduced themselves and spoke to me and explained what the CRY unit was about and screening people and everything. And CRY unit organised a meeting with the family in the hospital and explained everything to them, what the situation was. And my sister was actually diagnosed with the problem I have. Without her being screened, you know, I could have lost a sister or could have lost a mother. Or, you know, the importance of the CRY unit doing what they done is saving a lot of lives.
CRY is committed to working to establish a national centre for screening for hereditary heart disease. The CRYP in Tallaght, Dublin, provides a centre where families and young people can be assessed quickly in a single visit so that dangerous heart problems can be identified and treated before further tragedy befalls already suffering families.
The previous model would have been where these people with a family history of sudden death from cardiac cause or from inherited cardiac conditions would be referred to a general cardiology outpatients. Maybe they would join a waiting list. They would be seen at a clinic with maybe 50 or 60 other people. They would see one doctor who would say, yes, you need the following tests. They would be sent off to book those tests, which would all occur on different days. Some of the waiting lists for some of the tests were over a year long, and then eventually all of that might be collated in a year or two's time, and they would see probably a different doctor who would try and put it all together. People come in here with a lot of fear and anxiety, so we need to be able to provide a rapid service. We need to have the expertise to be able to interpret the tests, and we need to be able to perform all the tests on the same day and give them immediate answers as to what we found, because the vast majority of people don't have a significant risk and can be reassured, and the difference that makes to them being able to actually go on with their lives, for parents to be able to sleep at night knowing that their other children are not also at risk of dying during the night, makes a huge difference. So we need to be able to answer that need, and that's really why we set the service up this way.
This is one of the things that used to shock me when I saw these families coming in to see me in my outpatients at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening in the late 1990s, and to sit there and to need to have the time to spend with them while they try and explain about the loss of their boy or their girl or their brother and their sister and everything else. Absolutely no structures, no supports available for them at all, and they would go away, and not uncommonly you could have a second victim in the family. And yet there was still nowhere for them to go.
Well, the most basic test, I suppose, that we do is the ECG, and everybody who walks through the door will get an ECG, and that's just a tracing of the electrical activity in the heart. Very simply done. You just put 10 stickers on the chest, you hook them up to electrical cables that record what's going on inside, and it gives us a sort of fingerprint of what the heart is doing. Then most people will go on to have an echo test, which is an ultrasound of the heart, and that will tell us about the structure of the heart, any heart muscle disorders, holes in the heart, leaky valves, etc. And then people will usually go on to an exercise test. Again, we hook them up to the ECG, so the stickers and the wires, and we monitor how their heart behaves when we start to exercise them quite hard, and we do push people quite hard here. And then the last thing that most people will have is a 24-hour heart rhythm monitor, where we hook them up to 5 stickers. We have these stickers here that we stick on their chest. There's 5 wires and a little recording box here. And that goes into a very convenient little man bag there that they sling over their shoulder, and they wear that for 24 hours. So during waking time and when they're asleep, it tells us exactly what their heart is doing. Is there a change in the tracing? Is there a change in the heart rhythm that they may not be aware of?
CRY supports devastated families and provides vital treatment that saves lives. It's a registered charity, and all its work is financed through donations from individuals, organisations and fundraising activities that are always well supported by those who've benefited from its work and who want to give something back. Michael Green is in no doubt about the challenge.
We need 350,000 a year to run the charity and to support the centre. When you consider the number of patients that have been screened, probably this year we'll screen about 1,500 patients. It's very, very small amount of money. Because remember, there is nothing like this anywhere else that I'm aware of in these islands.
We would very much like to expand and to form a national unit that would allow for sharing of data, registry data, clinical information, and it would provide a rapid access service for all the relevant patients or potential patients around the country.
For us to develop the centre and to achieve the goal of hopefully doubling the number of throughput of patients, we have to look outside Ireland. And in that context, we're very grateful to the Ireland Fund, who have recently come in behind us and given us some support.
Sarah was 26 when she passed. She was completely asymptomatic, like she never had an issue, like she was 110%, she was as fit as a fiddle. Sarah's funeral was on a Wednesday, and then on the Friday we were all in the house just kind of, you know, in limbo, and the TV was on in the background, and I heard somebody talking about losing a son, and it was Mary Green, and she had lost a very young son, and then she started to speak about the charity that she was involved in, which was CRY, and it was really kind of, you know, strange that it was just a coincidence, you know, that she was talking so soon afterwards. So obviously, like, after Sarah, you would kind of be worried about everybody else, because I have 3 brothers and a young sister as well, so you'd be kind of worried that who else is it going to affect, you know what I mean? They organise for us all to go up and be screened. Nobody else can give you an answer, really, only sudden cardiac death, and that's it, kind of full stop.
Where we are now, we are delivering education, we're delivering information, we're delivering family support, which is critical, and we're delivering screening. And we need to continue fundraise because that's our sole source of income. And what it requires is what people are doing, ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help us fundraise.
They have given me like peace of mind, like that's priceless.